Have you ever looked at English and just thought, this is impossible, like you're staring up at this giant, scary mountain? Well, we're here to change that. In this explainer, we're going to crack the code with a super simple but really powerful blueprint that shows you how to build the entire language right from scratch.
So let's just kick things off with this incredible promise from our source material. This isn't just about learning rules. It's about getting rid of that fear. You know, that feeling in your stomach that so many of us get when we're trying to learn something new.
And here's the core idea, the big secret, really. Forget trying to memorize this endless pile of complicated rules. We're going to start treating English like what it actually is, a logical system. It's like a building that you construct yourself, one simple piece at a time.
Okay, so where do we even start building? Well, it turns out that pretty much every language on Earth is built using the exact same blueprint, so we're going to follow that blueprint step by step, right from the very, very beginning.
And here it is. This is our whole roadmap, and it's just 4 simple steps. Everything starts with sounds, you know, the raw material we make. Then we use letters as symbols to write those sounds down. After that, we put those letters together to make words. And finally, we arrange those words into sentences to share a complete idea. That's it. That's the whole system for any language. Now, for English, this whole process starts with just 26 core sounds. And to write them, we use 26 symbols you already know. The alphabet, A to Z. See? It's really that simple.
All right, so we've got our letters. The very next step in our blueprint is to start combining them to create the first really powerful building blocks of the language. Words.
But this brings up a really important question. Like, if I just randomly mash a few letters together, is that a word? What do you think?
Well, here's the answer. Hope. That's a word. Why? Because it instantly means something to you, right? It creates an idea in your head. But PTRN, that's just a jumble of letters. It doesn't mean a thing.
And this leads us to the very first and maybe most important rule of building our language. The rule of meaning. For a bunch of letters to actually be a word, it absolutely has to have a clear meaning. It's got to make sense. Now we've got our meaningful words, and you can think of them like little Lego bricks. So let's start snapping them together to build something even bigger. Complete thoughts, or what we call sentences.
But, and this is a big but, just like with letters, the order of the words is everything. He is Rakesh. That makes perfect sense. But if we just shuffle those exact same words around to Rakesh, he is, poof, the meaning is gone. It's just nonsense.
And would you look at that? The exact same logic applies again. That rule of meaning is back. A group of words only becomes a real sentence when you arrange it in a way that communicates a complete, sensible thought.
Okay, that's the textbook definition. But let's be real for a second. Let's forget about grammar class. What is a sentence in our actual day-to-day lives?
Get this. A sentence is not some complex, abstract thing. It is, quite simply, one complete thing that you say. Every single time you speak a full idea to someone, guess what? You're making a sentence. So, if a sentence is just anything we say, then all those different types of sentences you hear about are really just the different jobs that we give them in a conversation. Let's take a look. You know, a lot of the time, a sentence's job is just to state a fact or share a piece of information, like this one. It's probably the most common job a sentence has. Another huge job for a sentence is to ask for information. Every single time you ask a question, you're using a specific kind of sentence to get that job done. We also use sentences to tell people what to do, right? Whether it's a command, a polite request, or just giving instructions, that's another core job for a sentence. And of course, sometimes a sentence's only job is to let out a really strong feeling, like excitement or surprise. These exclamations, they're complete, meaningful sentences too. Okay, so we've followed this blueprint all the way from the ground up. Let's zoom out one last time and look at the whole structure so we can see what this all really means for mastering English. And there it is, the whole system from the bottom to the top. It starts with sounds. We write them down with letters. Those letters form meaningful words. We arrange those words into sentences. And what is the entire English language? It's really just a giant collection of all those sentences. And this right here leads us to the single most powerful takeaway from all of this. While knowing words is obviously important, the true key, the most important building block you need to master, is the sentence. And
This final, really profound statement from our source, it just says it all. The entire massive challenge of learning English really just boils down to one single skill: learning how to make a sentence. If you can do that, you've learned English.
So, we took that big, scary mountain and broke it down into a simple set of building blocks. And we figured out that the most important one of all is the sentence. So, if that's the key, if it's really that simple, the only question left is, what's stopping you from starting?